Hey everybody, and welcome to our early comic review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and every time I do this, I'm about to karate chop. And this is our show where we talk about some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this week to your local comic book store on Wednesday. So you can head on over to infinityflux.net right now and order these books. They are live up there right now while supplies last. And that's the key thing, because for some of these variants and all of that, you're going to see there's only a limited number of them. So get them good and get them fast and get them while they're hot. But this is a really cool week of videos. You can already see two big ones right here that we're going to start off with. We're going to have, continuations of DC KO, the Age of Revelation books, and much, much more.
Yeah.
So make sure you stay to the end, because we got a lot of really cool stuff to go over.
Absolutely.
Let's kick it off with one of the, I think, books people are most excited about.
Yep. So this is DC KO Knightfight #1. This is the first big DC KO tie-in that is not part of an already running series.
It's not like Flash issue.
Yeah, it's not like Superman or Justice League.
It has its own title.
We do know in December we're going to get a couple of extra one-off issues as well, but this is the first one that's its own thing. It's going to be a 4-issue miniseries. So this is written by the Dream Team, Joshua Williamson. The art is by Dan Mora. That's your Superman team, right? Now they're going to do this really cool Batman book. And this issue takes place immediately following Batman's death in DC KO #1. And it does explain how and why he is no longer just a stone statue.
And it's really funny because it is very Batman.
Well, I even wrote that. It says it explains why he's not a stone statue like everyone else who died in that issue is. And I love it because it's very Batman. It's like, of course, it's Batman.
Someone would say, well, Batman. And you're like, yep, that is.
Yeah. So it does explain, because we had questions, we knew this series was coming, but even on the retailer call when we first saw the interiors for DC KO #1, we were like, well, how is Batman going to do this story?
Why him and not everyone else?
Yeah, why him and not everyone else? Why is he not a stone statue like everybody else is? This explains everything. And I think those pages have been released publicly.
Okay.
So I think everybody probably even knows at this point. But if you don't know, it does get explained here. And once he's revived, he sees that he's back in Gotham, but he notices that it seems just a little bit different. And then he notices that it's a lot a bit different when he is attacked by a group of Robins that he does not recognize. He doesn't know who any of these kids are. And this leads him to a confrontation with another Batman. And I'm pretty sure that everybody already knows who that other Batman is too. That's not a secret at all. But just in case you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. I'll just refer to him as other Batman. But a lot of this issue is like our Batman fighting this other Batman and trying to figure out what the heck happened. Batman asks the other Batman, he's like, hey, I was just in a tournament. We were trying to stop Darkseid. Who won the tournament? Did we win? That kind of thing. And the Batman that he's fighting is like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he starts talking about all these other events that led to that other character becoming Batman, that led to those other Robins becoming Robin, that led to the state of Gotham City as it is now. He talked about like all the things that happened that led to all that stuff. And our Batman has no idea what he's talking about. He's like, I didn't do any of this stuff. What are you talking about? So a lot of this issue is just like that chaos, right? There's a lot of good action. These two Batmen fighting each other. But then, like I said, our Batman trying to figure out, I was here and now I'm here, and why am I here, and what is this place, and what is going on? So there are, even though even though it's explained to us how and why he gets out of the tournament, we still don't know all the answers, right? And we were on a retailer call with Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder and Mark Waid and a couple folks from DC on Friday, and they showed us a little bit of of Knightfight #2, and they told us a little bit more about it. So we know a little bit more about why things are the way they are, but it's not explained in this issue yet, but it will be. So if you're confused, don't worry. It will get explained as the issues go on.
I don't know if you were going to mention it, but there is a really cool thing that each issue of this is going to look a little bit different because of the kind of subject of the issue.
That's right.
And that's a really cool thing that Dan Mora is bringing to the art of these. So you can expect, each issue to feel and look a little bit different,
Yeah.
still with his style, but kind of influenced by the Batman that it's spotlighting.
Yeah, so this one is very colorful, but the next issue will look different from this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then that was a Dan Moore thing. I think Joshua Williamson said, Dan came to me and said, I want to make every issue feel like the Batman that, like you said, that it's spotlighting. So that's going to be really cool. So be on the lookout for that. So there's that's very high level overview of what this is. With a book this big, I'm trying, I try to be extra careful about not to spoil anything. So there's a few things that I'm leaving out here, but it's really cool. I still want to know, like, how's he going to get out of this?
Yeah.
Will this have any bearing on the main DCKO storyline? Will this all circle back around to? Will he get back in the tournament? I don't know, but
what does the other side of this look like?
Yeah.
Is he just going to get pooped right back into the his not bat cave but his bat bunker or whatever?
Yeah.
Or, is he going to get pushed back into the tournament? We don't know any of this. But I think it's really exciting, and it's a cool, that not everyone is getting this, but Batman kind of gets his own storyline for this event.
Yeah, so I really, really liked it. It's a gorgeous book. Of course, the artwork is great. There's a lot of great action in it. And I like stories that sort of take the normal status quo and turn it on its ear. And this does that. It's like, it's not just Batman in Gotham. It's Batman in a Gotham that he doesn't recognize with another Batman and some other Robins that maybe he doesn't recognize. So I just love stuff like that. It almost kind of feels like an Elseworlds book. It's not, but it kind of has that feeling to it. And I just can't wait to see like what happens. I mean, because it's really, really good. I think this is my pick of the week. Mm-hmm. Although I haven't read Absolute Superman. You made that sound really good too. So that might be up there too. But from everything I read, I think this is my pick of the week already. So yeah, I really, really liked it. I highly recommend it if you're a Batman fan or if you're into all the DCKO stuff. Like I said, we talked about some of the other DCKO tie-ins like Superman and Justice League and Flash and how they really all do kind of fit really well together. This one does feel like it's off to the side. Yeah. This one does feel like it's doing its own thing.
It's a little side quest.
Yeah, a little side questy, but it may all circle back around into all of the other stuff later. And even if it doesn't, it's a really cool story regardless. So I don't care either way. I'm good either way. So we have our A cover right here. We have this awesome John Boy Myers cover, which is the one that I pre-ordered.
And I pre-ordered.
Yep. This is Kari Andrews, right? Yeah, Kari Andrews.
That looks almost like Absolute Batman.
Yeah, absolute Knightfight. Yeah. And then this is the Fabrizio De Tommaso cover right there. And no incentives either. There's no incentives, it's just these open order variant covers.
It's all about the book. Yep. It's all about the story. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, if I had to do like a top 3 this week, it'd be Knightfight, it would be Absolute Superman, and it would be Planet She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So my first one is Planet She-Hulk #1. This is by Stephanie Phillips and Aaron Cooter. And I always like to say, I called this way back.
You really did. Forever ago, Andy was like, I feel like we're going to get a Planet She-Hulk book at some point. And wasn't that before Imperial started, or was it after maybe there's the first issue?
It was, it was, I think we maybe knew about we knew she was in it.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah. And he's like, I feel like that she's going to get stuck there. We're going to get a Planet She-Hulk book. And I was like, I hope so. That would be really cool. And then here we are.
Yep. So I feel like I have ownership over this.
That's right.
But no, this is really great. So I said on our shorter show, I love She-Hulk. I love Planet Hulk. And this is a perfect mashup of the two because She-Hulk does bring kind of a different flavor to Sakaar. So spinning out of the events of basically of issue 1 of Imperial. Yeah. I keep want to say Infinite. Imperial. She-Hulk was there with Amadeus Cho and Bruce Banner, Hulks, and they were like, we're going to go deal with this big intergalactic craziness that's going on. And Sakaar had just lost their leader because that's kind of part of the stuff that kicked off that event. And Bruce was like, Jen, you're the one who can handle this world that is going to erupt into violence if they don't have a leader here. And he wasn't appointing her like queen of Sakaar, but basically like we need your help being a Hulk and being a lawyer.
Yeah, he just
to
wanted
kind of keep the peace.
Exactly. I was going to say, he just wanted her to keep the peace while he was gone, is all it was.
Yeah, and he said, hey, I'm going to be back in 5 days. No biggie. And a big thing about this is Sakaar does not have any transportation of their own. They don't have any starships. They're very, almost like Roman feeling, very barbarian. And those 5 days pass and no word from Hulk. So, over these 5 days, Jen has to deal with a lot of just skirmishes. We saw a little bit of that in the one shot that came out. There was a really good taste of what this was going to be. But after those 5 days, Jen kind of figures, I'm stuck here until I can get my own transportation out of here. So, she's really done a good job at taking up this, like, Marshal of Sakaar role, but she is very eager to leave.
Yeah.
So she is looking for anybody. Does anybody have a ship that I can use? Well, she's very exhausted after all this work, and she's just going to relax for a day. But that doesn't last long before she gets an invite to a wedding, which is really funny. And she's like, nope, not going.
Yep.
Don't care.
Don't want to go.
Don't want to go. And they're like, no, you're the guest of honor. Also, the guest of honor comes with the idea that you are going to fight a giant monster in a gladiatorial arena.
Yeah, to kick off the ceremony. Yeah. And you can't say no. You're the guest of honor, and you cannot say no.
Yeah, so part of this book is like going back and forth between her fighting this giant beast and then all the events that are leading up to this. But it's not long until some of the more political side of Sakaar comes into play, because they are without a leader and there are people vying for that spot. And Jen, at this point, she just wants to mosey up next to the person at this wedding who has a ship, then get her out of here. But, of course, this wedding also is going to have some wedding crashers and pulls Jen into this whole crazy world of backstabbing and royalty and all of that, as she's just doesn't want to be there. And it's really fun. It is full of action.
Yep.
It's full of a lot of humor. She
but not like slapstick humor though, like She-Hulk style humor. Where she's like, no one's gonna get between me and cake. Like, I'm not gonna let anybody get between me and my bath or whatever. So it's funny stuff like that.
She's fighting a ring. She's like, as much as I love swinging a giant sword around. She's almost like she's a Hulk, but she's like the most human character there. And that's great. Like, it is really fun. She's very no nonsense. And I love it. There's just some great dialogue in this. There's some great big fights in it. And it does really set up characters and places and events and stuff that could carry the series for a long time.
Yeah.
Especially at the end when these wedding crashers show up and it kind of unlocks a whole new world of Sakaar and the people who were there.
Yeah, because who are these wedding crashers? They have a name, but we don't know much. We don't know about them yet. But who are they? Why did they do it? I have a feeling maybe they're actually not as bad as it looks like, but I might be wrong. I mean, that's just a guess.
Yeah, and by the last page, there's a pretty significant thing that happens to one of the characters in there.
Oh, right.
And she does kind of allude to, like, I may be seeing a little bit behind the scenes of how Sakaar royalty is formed in a really interesting way. And I love that. I feel like her lawyer skills are going to come into play in this as well, as she tries to, suss out what is the truth among all of this. So if you're a She-Hulk fan, if you're a Planet Hulk fan, or a Hulk fan in general, you get all of the best of all those worlds in this one book.
Yeah, I feel like this has the levity and the humor, some of the humor of maybe the Rainbow Rowell series.
Yeah.
But also some action too, which that series was lacking in.
Yeah.
She's got, like I said, she's got a big sword. She's fighting a big monster. She's fighting these other guys later. Like, it's got a nice mix of everything.
Yeah, and if you liked Planet Hulk, it has a lot of that feel.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the Conan but in space feel that is so cool.
Yeah, and I feel like, I don't know what it is, but She-Hulk is one of the characters who I most like because I love superhero comics and I love when superheroes fight in superhero comics, right? And sometimes like Ultimate Spider-Man, it's like there's another issue where there's just a bunch of talking. But She-Hulk is one of the only characters where I'm like, well, there was no action in this issue, but I still just really had a good time following her along in whatever story they were telling. I don't know what it is about her, but but like I said, you get some action, but you also get some quiet moments with her, and I really liked both of them equally.
There is a couple of page scene where she's in a bath and she just wants to enjoy her bath.
Yeah.
And she keeps getting bugged.
Yeah.
And it is great. That's a very She-Hulk moment.
Yeah, and I guess maybe like I find her relatable sometimes because she's just like, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
I just want to relax. I just want to take a bath and eat cake and go home. And I'm like, yep, I feel that way a lot of the time too.
So yeah, this is definitely in my top 3 this week. Very high up there. So this is already on my pull list. I'm very excited for what's to come. I love Stephanie Phillips. Also, if you're not following her online, she does some great videos talking about comics.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for real, check this out. Stephanie Phillips, Aaron Cooter, Planet She-Hulk #1. This is your A cover, which also feels very like Red Sonja or King Conan. We've got some great variants because everybody wants to draw She-Hulk. We've got this beautiful Jenny Frison with a more traditional She-Hulk. We've got this really nice Torrin Clark variant. We've got the Inyuk Lee Streetverse variant. We've got this really nice foil. This one is $9.99, but this is a really cool Matteo Lolly variant. Very reflective sword. We've got a 1 in 25 Fan Yang cover we're selling for $14.99.
That's really nice.
Yeah. And then we've got the 1 in 50 Streetverse variant, the Inyuk Lee Streetverse variant. We are selling for $24.99. It's the version of that other.
All right, well, we're going to stick with Marvel, and we're going to talk about Alien versus Captain America #1. This is written by Frank Thierry, the artist by Stefano Raphael. And this series is set in World War II. And it sees Baron von Strucker and Hydra seeking out the fabled city of Atalan, which is the home of the Inhumans. And they acknowledge that. They know the Inhumans live there. And that's actually why they want to find it, because they're hoping they can find a weapon that will help them win the war. And so about half of this issue is Strucker and some of his Hydra goons searching for Atalan, and then searching through it when they find it. It's not a spoiler to say they find it. So they find it, they get there, and then they're looking through everything. But what they find are some hieroglyphs that indicate that the Inhumans were wiped out by some mysterious creatures from space, from outer space. And then afterwards, they find some really strange-looking eggs. And if you've ever seen an Alien movie, you know what happens next. The eggs hatch, and all these facehuggers pop out, and they latch on to all the Hydra goons. But Baron von Strucker is able to escape, but he escapes with one of those facehuggers. He comes out of the hole, and he's holding one, right? So the story jumps ahead by a few weeks, and we see Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos arriving in a village whose streets is just lined with corpses, all who have had their chests burst open, like their rib cages are like this. I don't want to tell you too much more about it, but it's not a spoiler to say that Baron von Strucker took that face hugger, went back to Hydra, and we do see a little bit of Red Skull in this too, because this is all at the direction of Red Skull, right? So Red Skull commands Baron von Strucker to go find the city, and that's where they find the facehuggers, all that stuff. So it's not a leap to think that Hydra has been experimenting with that facehugger, and we actually do see a little bit of that. And yeah, they're going to try to use xenomorphs to win the war. And will Captain America and Bucky and Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos be able to stop them? I actually don't know, because it's one thing. Like, I mean, we saw the Alien versus Avengers book. And the xenomorphs overran Earth, and even the Avengers couldn't stop him, right? So how are just Cap and a few of his buddies going to do it in World War II? I actually think that maybe they won't. I think that would be really cool if you get to the end of the series, it's like, nope, they lost, but it's really cool because We had the Alien versus Avengers book, which was set in the future. We have all the Predator versus books, which are set in the present. But this one is set in the past, back in World War II. And I love Captain America stories set in World War II. And I love Captain America stories where he's going up against Red Skull and Hydra. And then so this has all of that plus xenomorphs in it. It's really, really cool. Now, this was mostly a setup issue.
Mhm.
So I think the real meat and potatoes are going to come starting next issue. But now that all the setup is out of the way, like I really can't wait to see like how in the heck are they going to do this, especially with a couple of pages in here that I didn't really tell you about. But there's a couple things in here. It's like I don't know how they're gonna beat that. But yeah, so really cool. If you like Alien, if you like Captain America, if you like World War II stuff, like this has it all, and I recommend it. So this is our A cover right here, and we have this this is Inhyuk Lee cover. And then this is a really nice foil Dan Panosian cover. That one's $11.99. You can sort of see the face hugger and
Wrapped around the shield.
wrapped around the shield. I'm trying to see all the foil. You can see the foil there. And then we have this 1 in 25 Sakura variant that we're selling for $19.99.
Well, I have another one of my favorites this week. This was a big one. Absolute Superman number 13. Why is this one so big? This is the Battle of Kansas. All the stuff basically since the Lazarus Corporation was brought into Absolute Superman, Ra's al Ghul, all of that has been leading to this big moment. So in this, the Lazarus Corporation is moving in on Kansas, on Smallville, and it's very scary. This is an overwhelming company with military moving in on a town of farmers and just simple people.
Yeah.
And it's sad because in the opening thing it shows all these tanks and everything, and it's like they ran over 100-year-old general store and
Mhm.
this award-winning statue someone made and all of this.
Well, I remember the last page of the previous issue, like it was just like a mass of tanks and vehicles and stuff, and I was thinking, oh, they're not gonna try to avoid; they're just gonna like mow everything down.
And that's what a lot of this is. And the simple people of Smallville stepping up to try to defend their town. Yes, Superman is there, but there's something Superman has to do, and it does leave him a little bit more vulnerable. It's something he does to protect Smallville as best as he can, but it leaves him at a disadvantage and makes him have to be a little bit more cautious in how he fights. And this fight goes on for longer than you would imagine, at least 6 weeks. This siege of Smallville takes place. And in that time, they are taking people. They're burning farms, and Superman is like, "I've got to this field over here. I've got to move these cows from here to over here to keep them safe." And he's trying to manage all these attacks, and is getting really tired and worn down because Lazarus has actually done something to block the sun. So
Oh,
he is
okay.
very just exhausted at this point. Now, they also knock out all communication from the town. Um, and the big worry is while they're in this town that the rest of the world will not know what's going on. And there's no way to get a message out. So Lois and Jimmy take it upon themselves to work together,
Okay.
which you
Okay.
start getting a feeling
Yeah.
of their daily planet and like reporting on big events. And they're going to try to get a message out. Whether is that going to help? Who is going to come to defend them? We don't know. But Superman is kind of their last hope there. And this is just part one of this siege of Smallville, and it's not looking good for anyone on the good side.
Yeah.
But this gives you some really great stuff with Jimmy and Lois, them talking about when did you realize that you were on the wrong side. Because they both, with Jimmy with the Omega Men and Lois working with Lazarus, they both have a nice discussion about Superman, and when you see Superman, whatever side Superman's on is the right side,
Yep.
which I love.
Yep.
But there is also something big. If Lois manages to get this message out about what's going on, she has to include that Superman is their only hope there. And Superman has basically been a myth until this point, and this will force Superman into the spotlight.
Okay, I gotcha.
And people will know. This is a phenomenal issue. It is scary, it's harrowing, it is hopeful to see Superman, Smallville, Lois, Jimmy, and everyone rally. Some really cool stuff with the cape, Soul, his cape,
Okay.
and what it does during this. Just awesome issue. Can't wait to see what happens. And we kind of know, I forgot what issue we talked about coming up, but that Superman basically has a new look and he's out in front of people. And I feel like this is the event that is going to make Superman known to the world.
Yeah. And I think Juan Ferreira is coming on to do 2 or 3 issues, maybe like a little story arc or something. And I think it's during that that's like his first presentation to the world, basically.
So can't wait for that. And this is a crazy way to lead up to some big stuff coming in the Absolute Universe.
It drives me crazy. This is one of my favorite books on the stands, and our DC books didn't come in till today, so I didn't get a chance to read this. So you're sitting here describing it, and I'm like, let's hurry up and finish this so I can just read it before I go home real quick.
Yeah, so this is awesome. There's some incredible stuff coming up in the Absolute Universe that we got a little taste of on this recent retailer call, mostly about Absolute Batman, but just knowing the passion that's behind all of these Absolute books make it so much more exciting to know they are still only just starting. Like, this is still the prologue of what Absolute Superman is going to be. I can't imagine where this is going to go next. So don't miss out on issue number 13 of Absolute Superman. It's incredible. That is your A cover. We also have this really nice, this is the Michael Janin variant. We've got this is the Talaski variant. Very cool. Him holding up something. We've got also this one. This is the Bengal cover, and that is going to be your artist on Absolute Catwoman.
That's right.
So
I can't remember when that was coming out. Is it March? Did they say?
Sometime early next year.
Yeah, I don't know if they told us, but yeah.
And that is it.
Okay, well, we're gonna go over back to the main DC universe and just talk about good old regular Batman. So this
Salt of the Earth
Batman. So this is Batman number 3, the Matt Fraction Jorge Jimenez Batman book. And this issue contains 2 different plots. Now, the first plot is about Dr. Zeller, who is the doctor we saw in the first issue who was helping Killer Croc. She works at Arkham Tower, and she's trying to help the patients there. She has developed a new device called the Crown of Storms, which is basically, it's this thing right here. Yeah, the Crown of Storms. And it looks like a smaller version of Cerebro, I guess, where you put it on, it looks like that, one of those things you put on your head. Yeah. And this device helps regulate electricity in the brain, which can help people who aren't in full control of their mental proclivities, basically. So she's hoping that it'll help maybe rehabilitate some of the people at Arkham Tower. Keep wanting to say Arkham Asylum, but that's not a thing anymore. Arkham Tower. And so Bruce Wayne learns about this device and the work she's been doing with it when he sees an interview with her on the news, on TV. And he also learns that this device that she created was built using a grant that she received from Wayne Enterprises. So that kind of makes him interested. He's like, hey, he wants to know, hey, we helped pay for this and I want to know more about it. He's not trying to shut it down, but, he just wants to know more about it. So there's a couple other parts of this story that I'm not going to tell you about, but this plot does continue on into the next issue. So that's only one part of this book. Now, the other part is a continuation from last issue, specifically the confrontation that Batman and Robin had with the 2 other police officers who ended up shooting each other, and one of them was shot fatally. Well, Vandal Savage wants to use that incident from last issue to frame Batman as I'm trying not to say the words, but as trying to frame Batman as somebody who enjoys fatally wounding police officers. I'm trying not to say the words pop filler, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so Vandal Savage plant some evidence at the crime scene. And then he's like, he plants it and then he pulls her right back out and says, look, I have evidence that Batman was responsible for this. So that's not great, right? However, there's another character that saw him do that. And I think that is going to be a major plot point in the next few issues. I'm if I had to guess, probably Vandal Savage finds out that there's somebody who saw him do that, and he goes after them, and Batman's got to stop it. I don't know for sure, but that's just what it feels like it's going to happen. Um, yeah, there's somebody who saw him plant that evidence, and they have video evidence of it too. So what is that going to? What's that going to mean for them? So yeah, two different plots going on right now, and both of those do continue on into the next issue, which is a little bit weird because Matt Fraction did say that each issue is going to basically feel like a one and done issue. And the first two did, but this one is more of a to be continued.
Yeah,
and that's not a bad thing because it's a really cool. Both of them are really cool stories, but it's just like this story just kind of ends without an ending. It doesn't really say to be continued, but it doesn't wrap it up with a nice shiny bow either. The Riddler's on the cover, and he is in this issue, but he's not in it as much as you might think, and he's not in it in the role that you might think. But it does have to do with the work that Dr. Zeller is doing at Arkham, and that's closer to the end. So maybe we'll see more of him next issue. I'm not really sure, but I still really like this issue. Not quite as like exciting as the last issue. There's not as much action in it. We do see some more cool new bat tech, which I think is really cool. I like that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean it's still a really good issue. I really like both stories in here. The Vandal Savage story. It's been going on since the first issue, so that seems like that's going to be the larger through line story. And then maybe this one with the Crown of Storms, maybe that's like maybe a 2-part thing or something. I don't know. But still, really good, gorgeous artwork. Compelling story, interesting characters. Like it has it all. So I do recommend this one. So this is our A cover right here, and we got some nice variants. This is the Joe Quesada variant. This is the Julian Totino Tedesco variant. We have I love these. This is the Jorge Jimenez, like, what do they call these? Just like the Bat
Gadget.
The Bat Gadget covers. I wish I had been buying all of these because they're really cool.
There's a cool one coming up with the utility belt.
Yeah. And then this is the Brian Stelfreeze variant. And then we have the Virgin Foil version of the A cover right here. And then we have 1 in 25 David Aja cover that we're selling for $12.99. We do have a note on this one that said it's slightly damaged, but I do not know where the damage is. Like I don't see it on the front cover. Maybe that right there. I'm not. Yeah, it might be on the back. I'm not sure what the damage is. But it looks fine to me, and it's a really cool cover.
Well, now it's time to get into this week's worth of Age of Revelation books for the X-Men. I'm going to kick it off with the biggest one, the one that I feel like matters. It seems mean to say matters the most, but does feel like it is doing the majority of the storytelling.
It's where the main story is,
right.
And it's in this book.
In Amazing X-Men #2. Once again, this is only a 3-issue miniseries. Age of Revelation is going to be over basically as soon as it feels like it begun with 3 issues each.
It does feel weird. Like some of these tie-ins, I'm like, wait a minute, you only have one more issue to wrap all this stuff. I don't know how you're going to do that.
Yeah, but this one feels like this is this could have been a 6-issue thing.
Oh yeah.
So this one's really cool. We see Cyclops, of course, who is the Cyclops with the mind of his past self from 10 years ago, and Beast with his mind of 10 years ago in their Age of Revelation bodies. That's kind of the whole point of this Age of Revelation story for them, along with Animalia, Glob, and Schwarzschild. Arnold Schwarzenchild. They find themselves in Providence, Rhode Island. That's where the last issue left off. And it is a little dot in the Revelation territories that Doug Ramsey Revelation does not control, and that's because it is controlled by Darkchild, Ileana Rasputin magic, but in her Darkchild demonic form you see here on the cover. She has Juggernaut as kind of her right-hand man, and it feels like there may be a little bit of a romance, at least from Juggernaut. Like
Oh, do you think?
he feels very
Hmm.
protective and stuff
Okay.
of her.
I didn't quite pick up on that, but I can see it.
But she's made him basically like a demon.
Yeah. I did pick up on that. He's got like tusks coming
yeah.
out of his. Yeah.
Which I love. That is a great continuation from their relationship
Yeah.
in the main
Yeah.
X-Men title, where they were very close and worked really well together.
Yeah, I'm glad that they continued that aspect, and of course, it's Jed McKay across the board,
Yeah.
right? So I'm glad he brought that into this. It's really cool.
So Cyclops, leading this ragtag group of former X-Men, ask Ileana, "Hey, we really need to get to Philadelphia. That's where Revelation Doug Ramsey's headquarters is. Could you help us get there?" And she says, "No, I'm good here." And we learn how she's ruling that area,
Yeah.
which is really interesting. One, I love Providence, Rhode Island. It is an amazing city, and it's really cool to see it here because it does kind of have that Lovecraftian feel, and it plays off a lot of that. But Darkchild says, "I'll tell you what, we'll have a contest, like a what you think you're gonna go into is like a fight between them or something." And she says, "If you win, I'll help you get to Philadelphia. It'll be all good. If I win, one of your people stays behind with me." And the people who live there kind of help fuel her power of that place. So that would not be a great thing to be left behind there. And Cyclops says, "Okay, we will. I'll step up to your contest." But it's not a traditional fight. It is a fight of truths, and I'm not going to get into all the details about it. But when they say a truth that is powerful enough, that is honest enough, and is cutting enough, that is their attack. And you'll see how that plays out. But
it sounds really weird, but it's really well done. It's really clever.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is cooler than just having a bare knuckle fight. This is something a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I like action in my superhero books. So a fight would have been cool too, but this is like unique and different, but still tense and edge of your seat.
Yeah, and it still involves people flying back.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it's really cool.
And we'll say that Darkchild maybe has more hard-hitting truths for Cyclops than he can kind of muster to attack back with. But there is a truth that doesn't hit as hard, and that is a big deal in this when we realize there's something that Cyclops has known all along that could change the way that we look at the X-Men of the Age of Revelation and this whole story going forward. And may even dictate some stuff afterwards, which I have my theories about. But once again, this is where the spine of the story is. This is where the gauge is moved. This is really cool. We do know the next issue they're heading into Revelation territories, but there is this new knowledge that we have going forward about what the overall plan of this series is, and it's really, really cool. And this has maybe some of the best Cyclops moments that we've seen in
a long time.
Long time.
Cyclops in this is just like cold-blooded, man. He's no fear. He's got some really cool dialogue in this, some really cool moments. Like if you're a Cyclops fan, holy cow, this is the book for you. If you love
Cyclops, where you're like, that's why he leads the X-Men.
Yeah.
Is because of this attitude and this personality he has. You get a great moment here that's like, yep, I want more of this version of Cyclops. So
and this whole Age of Revelation story, it's big, and there's a whole bunch of books, and some of them are great and some of them are not so great, but this one in particular I have been really enjoying a lot. So I cannot wait to see the next one. It's awesome.
Yeah, this stands alone. If you read no other ones, you just went straight from X-Men into the Overture issue and then straight into Amazing X-Men, you're getting the biggest bang for your buck in this story. So this is great. I can't this makes me more excited about stuff after Age of Revelation 2.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in maybe what's going to be happening because there's only one more issue. How much is going to get wrapped up in one more issue? We'll have to see. But
I think there isn't there like a final issue to count to bookend the overture issue. They used to do alphas and omegas, but they don't do that anymore. But like it would be the omega issue. I don't know. I'm
possibly.
not sure.
Um, but I think because this story is so big, but there's so few issues, that we're going to be seeing fallout from this in future stories.
Maybe.
Not directly, but I do think this will change some of the landscape of the X universe for a little while. So don't miss out on Amazing X-Men #2. Very cool issue there. And we got some cool variants as well. We've got this Stephanie Hans Dark Child variant. We've got a Inyuk Lee Streetverse variant with Psylocke, who is in this issue and is very cool. We've got a 1 in 25 Edgeker variant we're selling for $19.99. And we have a 1 in 50 Inyuk Lee Streetverse variant we're selling for $49.99. So kind of the virgin version of that.
All right. Well, to keep going with that, we have Binary #2, and this is from Stephanie Phillips again. So you get a double dose of Stephanie Phillips this week, and the art is by Giada Belviso. And the first couple of pages of this issue are really cool because they show us how Carol Danvers became bonded with the Phoenix Force in the first place, and that's really cool. But then we jump ahead to the present day in the Age of Revelation era, and we see that there's a group of citizens living in the town that Carol is shielding from the X virus. And they want to take her out basically because they feel like she is trapping them there, and they want to be able to leave, even though it's more dangerous outside of her big telekinetic psychic bubble. They want to be able to leave, and they're kind of conspiracy theorists anyway. Like, oh, we don't even know if the X virus is real because we've never been able to get out, right? So they want to be able to leave. They want to take her down, and they have a pretty extreme plan for how to do that. I won't tell you if that plan is successful or not, but I will say that the end of this issue gives us a little bit more information about what we saw at the end of last issue, and it's going to lead Carol into a confrontation with that character. We do see who that character is, but appearances might be deceiving. So more to come on that. I guess we'll learn more in the third issue. But I liked this issue just as much as the first one. This doesn't seem like it's adding anything to the main Age of Revelation story, so you're probably okay to skip this if you only want the core stuff, but I still think it's a cool story anyway. I think Carol Danvers with the Phoenix Force is really interesting, and it's cool because she talks in here like she's like, Jean would have figured out how to solve all these problems by now, but I'm not that good, and Jean is used to all of these all of this psychic stuff and all this telepathy, and that's not what I do. I'm a soldier. I punch things. So I thought that was a really interesting take on her having this just big power. But yeah, it's a cool book, not a major part of the big story, but still worth a read if you're wanting to get some of the better tie-ins. This is one of them. So there's your A cover right there, and we have this Howl variant. And this is the Yoon variant.
Well, we've got my second Age of Revelation book. This is Laura Kinney Sabretooth #2, continuing off of #1, where we saw Laura Kinney basically she's working for Revelation because it does seem like she somewhat believes in what he's doing. It may, we'll have to see how much she's really her own ideas of where she agrees with him, but she does, and they don't get into it too much with this one, but it does seem like she knows it's not safe for her son that she has in this Age of Revelation to be in the Revelation territories because he doesn't show signs of being a mutant, and she's worried, if this mutant virus comes through, it could do permanent damage to him. So she gave him to Akihiro, which we know is Dakin, and Gabby, who is I keep want to still call her Honey Badger. What's she now?
Scout.
Scout.
Yeah.
She gives them to them in the last issue to help get him to safety because they know of a kind of a way out of all of this. But in this one, we see Laura talking to Revelation Doug Ramsey, and he basically says that wasn't a good idea. You need to go get them back. And she says, "Okay, yeah, I'll go get them back." And you do start to wonder here. She seemed really intent on saving her son in the previous one, and now she's going to go hunt them back down to get him back. What kind of sway does Revelation have over her? Um,
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious what he did. I mean,
yeah, but there is some question. She questions it because at one point she does talk about Logan,
yeah.
and like I thought he was able to hold off this uh these mind control stuff. So she is gonna go against her will, even though she thinks she wants to, and try to stop Akihiro and Gabby, who have found a gateway. Sage actually has a gateway that says it's to Canada, to get them out of all of this. And there's a lot of mutants there and everything, and humans, and just people who want to get out. But Gabby shows, I mean, Laura shows up with a group of Revelation soldiers and is going to try to stop them. And that's where a lot of this issue takes place, is this kind of mad dash to try to get through this portal before these soldiers come in and either seize them or take these people out completely. And it's pretty nerve-wracking while that's going on. There's some good fight scenes between all of the kind of Wolverine kids.
Yeah.
In particular, one thing where Laura puts her hand through something and not all of it comes back out. But there is a very interesting ending to this, and the cover of issue number 3 does kind of allude to where this is going. But we've seen a couple of books allude to what's going on Araco, and I think that's going to play a big point going forward for all of these books. But this one was okay. I liked it. It definitely wasn't like moving the needle like some of the other ones do. I like Laura Kinney as Sabretooth in this. I think she's really cool and a very compelling character. So if you like that character, I think you'll enjoy this book. So here is your A cover. And we got a couple of variants for it. So we've got this uh uh Camagni variant. We've got this uh Ashley Witter variant as well.
We've got one more for this week. This is Long Shots number 2. This is from Jerry Duggan and Jonathan Hickman. The art is by Alan Robinson. And in this issue, the Long Shots, which is basically what they're calling themselves, I guess, Hellcat and Wonder Man and Rhino and Craven and Bishop. So they approach this big spherical structure near the edge of the Revelation territories. But honestly, I don't know why they went there or what it is. I'll be honest, I didn't understand this issue at all. Like, I don't even really know what to say about it because I honestly did not understand this at all. I really like Jerry Duggan. I really like Jonathan Hickman. I don't mean any disrespect to them whatsoever, but I don't really like this all that much. If I can take off the retailer hat and just put on the comic book fan hat, I didn't like this. I didn't understand it whatsoever. I don't know what story it's trying to tell. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with Age of Revelation at all, other than it takes place during that time period. But I don't even know what to tell you about it because I didn't understand the point of it. Now there is one thing at the end that makes me want to, there's only one issue left, right? So there's something that happens at the end that does make me want to go ahead and read that final issue. But I don't know. It's a lot of silliness. I mean, it's like the Mojo silliness, right? It's all a TV show and that kind of thing. The X babies are in it, but I don't know, man. It just feels so completely disjointed from all the other tie-ins. Even the tie-ins that also aren't really contributing to the main story. This feels even more disjointed than those. So I don't have a lot else to say about it, but if you like the first one, or if you got the first one, if you want to get all of them, issue 2 comes out this week as well. So we have our A cover right there. We have this Polina variant with Longshot. Longshot's in this a little bit. And then we have, this is really nice. I like this cover. This is the Philip Tan Mojo cover.
That one's really cool.
Yeah, it's a nice cover. Unfortunately, the covers are pretty much the best thing about this issue.
See, I haven't read issue 1 or 2 of this, and I want to read them just to see.
I would.
Maybe,
you should.
Maybe once the third one comes out and we've got the complete story,
Yeah.
I can read through it and see what I think about it. Because I mean, the cover, I love Longshot. I love Mojo. I love the Mojo verse and all of that. I think it's really fun. Most of my familiarity comes from the cartoon,
Right.
but I want to see what it's all about. You sold it to me.
Okay, great.
Well, I'm going to move on now that we're out of the Age of Revelation books into something really cool. This is G.I. Joe number 13, and this is a big book because this is the big beginning of the Dreadnought War. And this doesn't it go bi-weekly?
Yeah. Yeah. This story arc will be bi-weekly, yeah.
Which I'm not sure is it how many issues it is. Probably like
you say 5?
Yeah, like a
5?
trade's worth.
Yeah.
I believe. So this is really interesting because this feels almost like like maybe they're setting up to be a jumping on point if you haven't been reading G.I. Joe, which there's not a whole lot before this there's only 12 other issues. It's not too hard to track them down. But this does, after the first couple of pages, have a 2-page recap of everything that's happened in a very dossier Duke was a pilot when he saw a Transformer and it freaked him out, and it goes through all of that.
I hope that's the exact dialogue.
Yep, verbatim. So that's really interesting, and I just wanted to note that even if you've been reading it, it's nice occasionally just to get a hey, here's the highlights that maybe you need to remember going forward about everything that's happened. But in this, we see that Cobra is running out of Energon. They've had these, a pretty decent amount of Energon, but they've been doing a lot of experimentation with it. One of the big locations for it was in the Louisiana swamp, from the original Cobra Commander series that was there under the water. That was a big part, but that has also dried up along with some of their other stores of it, and Cobra Commander still wants them to keep going. They have kind of a Energon radar that shows various points, but none of the veins or the whatever the mines of Energon are as big as the ones they've had so far. And so he's going to send different groups out to various ones of those to pick up what they can. But there is a very interesting one ping that's going off on the radar. It's in the Chihuahuan Desert, and he describes it as this Energon is oscillating like a heartbeat. And Cobra Commander is interested in this one enough that he is going to go check it out, not by himself, but make it a personal appearance where usually he sends his cronies out to do it. And so he's going to go and look for that. But on the other side, we see G.I. Joe, and they also get that same signal that there is some Energon in this desert, and Duke decides that he is going to go check this out. He's pretty much alone when he goes and checks it out. So, of course, you imagine the two are going to run into each other while they're out there. But, so this is called the Dreadnought War because someone is playing a little something behind the scenes and reminding those Dreadnoughts, hey, it's really cool you're working for Cobra Commander after he really messed you up when they first met him. They're pretty susceptible to the influence of others, and they're like, it'd sure be bad if something happened to him out there in the desert. And they're like, that gives me an idea. So you may have to see Duke and Cobra Commander working together on the run from these Dreadnoughts. And this is, all of that was in the solicitation. We knew how this was going to kick off. I'm very interested to see where it goes because we don't actually get a big answer about what this oscillating, kind of pulsating Energon thing is there in the desert. And
what if it's Unicron's heart, and then the Earth is Unicron, and he's transforms and
that feels like a kind of in-game level thing. Maybe right. We're not there yet.
Okay.
But I am really interested to see what, does this circle back around to that? Is that going to play a part later on? But this was really fun. I I love Cobra Commander, and you get a lot of really good Cobra Commander in this. Um, and just to see this weird, like, unlikely couple team up together. I won't give away exactly why also they have to stick together, but it's pretty funny. This feels like an 80s movie in a lot of ways. But I'm very excited too that it is bi-weekly, so we don't have to wait a long time
Yeah.
for the next part, because it does feel like the pace of this has picked up as all the stories going on at this one moment. So highly recommend it. Don't miss out on the first part of Dreadnought War, because it is a blast. This is your A cover for that. We've also got this Ben Oliver cover with a Ripper, I believe. This one's Ripper of the Dreadnoughts. We have this Mark Spears cover with Cobra Commander. We've got one of the die-cut foil mask variants with Destro, who plays a pretty big role in this. There's a big part I'm leaving out that may involve Destro that you'll have to read and check out. This one's really cool. So this is the Eric Kinney variant, and this is a die cut as well, where you open it up and you see the whole team there. So that one's really cool, and that one is $5.99. So it's still not too much more expensive. We've got this Jesus Marino 1 in 25. We're selling for $9.99. And we have this 1 in 50 Kendrick Lim variant we're selling for $69.99.
All right, I am going to talk about probably the biggest surprise of the week for me. This is Harley and Ivy: Life and Crimes #1. So this is written and drawn by Erica Henderson. And this series is going to give us the overall series is going to give us the full story of Harley and Ivy's relationship.
That's her couple name.
Right, yeah, Ivy. From the first time they met to the first time they kiss and just all of that stuff. It's going to be all about their relationship. And this issue in particular, this first issue, shows us their first meeting. So Harley is at Ace Chemicals, and she's trying to figure out if she should leave the Joker or stay with him. And Ivy is there planting these seeds, literally planting seeds that will grow these massive vines that will eat through the structure of the building. Since it's Ace Chemicals, right? They produce chemicals which hurts the planet. So Ivy just wants to tear the place down. So they're there at the same time, and Harley sees what Ivy is doing and wants her to stop because she says that she has a soft spot in her heart for Ace Chemicals because she says that Ace Chemicals is what made her, right? She's like, this is where I was born, essentially. And so the two of them fight. And um the whole the whole issue is a little bit, it's not slapstick, it's not even comedy, but it's a little bit comical. But there's something that happens at the end that kind of turns a little bit serious and a little bit scary, which is really cool. So I did not expect to like this anywhere near as much as I did. I'm not a Harley Quinn fan. I think of her like I think of Deadpool. It's just like, oh my, there's so much silliness and so much useless dialogue that you have to read that doesn't do anything to enhance a story. And it's like, just shut up, please. So I'm not the biggest Harley Quinn fan. And I also didn't think I was necessarily the target audience for this story either, which is fine. I don't need every book to be for me, right? But I really, really like this a lot. Now, I wonder if maybe the look of the book helped a little bit because these characters, I mean, it looks like that, right? Like Harley looks like she looked in the Batman animated series from the '90s, and Poison Ivy looks that way too.
Especially with like the green tights Ivy's wearing.
Yeah,
and stuff.
absolutely. So it has a little bit of a feel of Batman the animated series. But just the fight they get into, I didn't find Harley annoying at all. I found her predicament quite endearing. She knows that she should leave the Joker because he's terrible to her, but at the same time, she still has feelings for him, and she's trying to figure this out. I understand why Ivy's doing what she's doing, and those two things come into conflict with each other. And then so seeing that and then knowing where they end up later in life is really cool. So I really like this. There's a bit at the end I'm not telling you about because I want you to see that for yourself. But it's this bit at the end where I was like, whoa, this is actually this actually took a little bit of a dark turn that I wasn't expecting. So I really like this a lot. Everything just, I don't know. I was super into it. Maybe once we get into the later stuff, I won't like it as much. But for right now, I'm definitely on board to read more. I want to see where this goes and what kind of hijinks they get into. So yeah, if you're a Harley fan, if you're a Poison Ivy fan, I recommend this. I thought it was really, really good. And I really like it when a book surprises you the way this surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it would be bad. I just kind of thought, this isn't going to be for me. And that's okay. But I read it and I was enjoying it every page turn. I was really, really enjoying it. So there's your A cover right there. We got some really nice covers too. This is the Elizabeth Torque and Sabine Rich cover. This is the Nathan Zerdy variant. I like that one a lot.
I wonder if it's going to kind of go through the different eras of the characters as well as their outfits change.
Oh yeah, it probably will. This is the Larix cover. That one's a nice one as well. And this is the, who did I just say did this one? Nathan Zerdy. This is the foil version of the Nathan Zerdy cover. So I never, yeah, like I said, I wasn't trying to like badmouth it or anything. I just went into it expecting it to be like, okay, whatever, Harley and Ivy. But man, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I really did. I liked it a lot.
Well, here's one that surprised me. So once, like you said earlier, our books came in a little late. Some of the stuff we had read early preview copies of. Some stuff, though, it was just up to me to read it today after placing all of my orders for books coming out and all that. So I had very like a limited time to do some more reading, and I was like, sometimes that puts you in a place where you're not, when you know I've got to read this fast and kind of and make notes on it, everything.
I'm not getting it to like relax and enjoy.
Right. I'm kind of stressed about doing this. I picked up No Place, which I've enjoyed every one of Ignition Press's books so far, which is crazy.
Keep your eye on that logo, that key logo. And if you see that on a book, most likely it's going to be a good book. They have just knocked it out of the park so far.
And, you know, I like, this is by Tim Seeley and Stefano Simeone. I love Tim Seeley, very familiar with Tim Seeley's work. And I sat down, I was like, okay, I'm going to read this. I'll make my notes, whatever. But much like you with the Harley and Ivy book, I was immediately like slowed down my reading because I started really taking it in and was captivated by this. So in this, we meet our main character. Her name is Mariposa. And when you first see her, she is working at, I think it's just like a local taco restaurant. It's very, you know, just a waitress job there, and people are making fun of her. And they're alluding to, oh, that's the girl who was kidnapped, or that's the girl who, you know, she's so weird because she disappeared for a little while, and it's just kind of mean teenagers.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but she disappeared for a while, and when she turned up again, she said she was in this whole other land. You know, they were, you know, so they think she's cuckoo.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, she's very open about like, I was in a magical land where I was a hero and all this, and so clearly people are like, you know, trauma happened to this
Right.
young woman.
Yeah.
But she, you know, she's just trying to live her life now because, of course, it's not a spoiler to say she really did experience that. She is like an Alice from Alice in Wonderland. But what happens when you go on this magical adventure and you come back? No one's gonna believe what you say. You're the hero of this magical land with monsters and fairies and all of that. But when you come back, that doesn't translate. Like you're not gonna be anything.
Like, you know, the kid from Neverending Story.
Yeah.
You know, when he came back, or, you know, he would have been like, oh my gosh, I went to this land. And he's like, no, you just read a book.
Yeah.
No, I really was there, you know, that nobody would believe him.
So that's kind of the start of this. And a lot of, you know, she's her relationship with her parents is a little weird now because they don't even really, like, they try to believe her, but it's really weird. Until one day there is someone who confronts her, a young man, and is like, I actually believe you. And she has been doing a lot of like kind of what people think is lashing out, but she's really just trying to you know, do good that she learned to do before and everything. But this guy has a feather, and he's like, "This is the feather you said was off of this magical flying tiger or lion or whatever." And she's like, "Okay, I'll listen to you, but if you're just going to be one of those people to make fun of me, I'm not having it." And so she goes with she goes with him to a place where she soon learns that yes, she is not the only person who has done something like this. Like the real stories in this universe, Alice really went to Wonderland. Dorothy Gale really went to Oz, and that's where our bigger story is going to open up, because this is a group called No Place, and they are in charge of basically trying to protect these realms, because there are darker realms and beasts and stuff that have slowly been destroying some of these realms. And will she take up and defend this place that she once was at, or does she feel like the things people have been saying about her are true, and maybe she's not the hero that she thought she was or whatever? This has a lot of really cool creatures. The visuals in this are beautiful. The interior looks like this.
The colors are crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
the colors are
the
awesome.
characters and the creatures in this really set up a very interesting world that's very rich, and a threat that is feels very personal to her and some of the other members of No Place. This has hints of horror, but also high fantasy, fairy tale, all of that, all in one package. So, hats off to Ignition Press and this team of Tim Seeley and Stefano Simeone, because it is another banger from Ignition
Yeah,
Press.
it reminded me a little bit of like Department of Truth in that there's this secret organization that brings in an outsider,
Hmm.
and when that outsider comes in, they say actually it's all true.
Yeah,
You know, because like you said, all these mystical lands are true. Oz
yeah,
and the place where Alice went was that
Wonderland.
Wonder? Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's in the title. Yeah, Wonderland and all these other mystical places, they all exist, and there's this one central organization. So, and it's cool that there's this story that sort of connects all those
Yeah,
together.
yeah. So I'm really interested to see where this goes, because this is also a big setup issue,
Mm.
but we do see, what may be the a big force that they're going up against, and it's pretty terrifying. So don't miss out on another great Ignition Press book with No
I
Place.
feel like this one may be the most ambitious of the Ignition Press books so far. Everything else is a little bit more localized, but
Yeah,
this feels very grandiose. Like this feels like very much more epic in scope than a lot
yeah.
of the
I
other
think
ones.
before it came out, we had talked about it feels like Birthright by
Yeah,
Joshua
yeah, it
Williamson.
really does.
It feels like hints of fables. It's got a
Hmm.
lot of that. Like again, could be a long running
Oh yeah,
series
yeah,
with the setup that
yep.
they have here. So and I feel like this is the most uh maybe accessible or all age. No, it still has stakes, and it may have some language in it. It's not as mature as Beauty or Voyeur
Right.
or something like that, but maybe has more of the whimsy that someone who doesn't like the more mature stuff has. So it also shows that Ignition is doing a lot of really cool genres across the
Right, right.
board.
They're not just one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here is your A cover. We also have a Tim Seeley variant, which is really cool. And we've got this 1 in 15 Christian Ward variant we're selling for $7.99.
Yeah, that was another one that was, again, I didn't think it was going to be bad, but I was pleasantly surprised with just how good it was.
And just, I wish I could describe the art better,
Yeah.
but it's very rich in color. And like you said, it feels like early Disney.
Yeah, it feels like early 90s Disney movies.
Yeah, even some of the backgrounds, if you look at it, it's more like less distinct. You can tell what it is, but it's more color splashes
Yeah.
that make up the environment.
Yeah. Yeah, really well done. I'm going to talk about JSA number 13. It's been a while since we talked about JSA from Jeff Lemire, but I want to talk about this one because this is the first part of the JSA Year 1 story arc. So if you haven't been reading this series, you can jump on right here because this has nothing to do with the previous 12 issues. This is JSA Year 1, just like we've had Batman Year 1 and Green Arrow Year 1 and all that stuff. This is JSA's turn. And Gavin Guidry does the art on this, and it works really, really well. So this is set in 1940, and this issue follows various members of the JSA in different plots. Like they're all sort of doing their own thing for now, but they may all end up connecting to each other. And it does seem like some of them know each other, and maybe some of them don't. I'm not quite clear
May
on.
just be familiar with
Yeah.
other heroes.
So we get things like Rex Tyler's company has entered into a partnership with this kind of shady company named Starco. So he's got to deal with that. He investigates Starco as Hourman and runs into Wesley Dodds Sandman, who's also investigating Starco. So there's already a little bit of connective tissue there. And then outside of all that, there is a friend of Alan Scott's who has a partnership with Starco to build a new subway, I think. But he seems very nervous about it. He has dinner with Alan Scott, and he starts to tell him about his partnership with Starco. But then all of a sudden he just stands up. He's like, "Oh, you know what? Never mind. I shouldn't have even brought it up," and he just leaves. So there's something a little bit weird going on there that Alan Scott's going to have to investigate. Outside of all of that, we get a little bit of Johnny Thunder as he approaches Jay Garrick and says that he wants to be a superhero like the Flash. He says, "I know you're the Flash, and I have this magic pen. I want to be a superhero like Flash." But of course, Jay Garrick's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Leave me alone. Never approach me again," that kind of thing. We also get Carter and Shayera Hall. They go on this expedition in Peru, but they run into some trouble there. So it's all these different little stories following the various members of the JSA, but right now they seem more or less disconnected. But I just can't help but think that eventually, and especially with this company Starco, like it has its hands in a couple of them. So I can't help but think that it's all going to come around and connect together at some point. So I really like this as well. I'm a couple issues behind on the mains on this series, but you can read this without having to have read the previous one, or I've read all but the last two issues, but I can still, you can still read this without that. So it's its own thing, and it's really cool. So, I love JSA, again, World War II era, like we talked about with Captain America. I love World War II era JSA stories, and this is that. The artwork feels very classic, feels very like, Gavin Guidry, feels very like Chris Samney, Darwin Cook kind of thing, which I love. I think is perfect for this kind of stuff. So yeah, highly recommend it if you're a JSA fan, but you haven't been reading this series, or even if you have, grab this and see what you think. I can't wait to see where it goes and to see how all these characters meet up. So there's our A cover right there. And we have this really nice Jorge Corona Hot Girl variant. He's been doing a few of these, and they all look really good.
Next up, I've got Amazing Spider-Man issue number 15, and we are back to Space Spider-Man, Peter Parker in space, trying to get stronger to fight Hellgate eventually, but that's another story. But in this one, he's with his team of what essentially feel like a version of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
It really does, and I like them. They're cool characters.
And we learned that Rocket, before he was locked up with this mad scientist and all that, maybe got in a little bit of trouble and owed some people something. Yep. And they're coming to call on that. And what's great about this is Peter is like, "I'll help you with this. Like, no worries, I will step up and try to help you with this situation." And to pay off whatever this thing is that Rocket has, this big like intergalactic, I don't know, what would you call it, television producer type character?
Kind of, yeah.
Is like, "Are you familiar with the idea of pay-per-view?" And Peter's like, "Yeah, I mean, I've never got one, but I know about them." He's like, "Well, Spider-Man is really popular across the universe. If we could get you on here fighting in this kind of gladiatorial arena, this would, help Rocket pay off whatever he owes." And Spider-Man says, "Okay, I'll do it, if it helps Rocket out." And so a lot of this issue is him in this big arena fighting this giant monster. But what really the like core of this issue is, like what it gets to is some truth and some knowledge about what is Spider-Man's new costume.
I mean, it's what you see on the cover. We get this
Yes.
in the issue.
And it's really interesting because there's a lot of parallels to the symbiote suit.
Mm-hmm.
Peter even mentions, I've had a suit before that's sentient and I'm not okay with this. But it's really cool that there's a lot of kind of surprises in here and just more lore building that makes it feel like I'm fine if Peter stays in space for a long time because they're doing a lot of really interesting stuff with that.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the space story. I don't. I guess we'll get a few issues of it because they announced the Spider-Man stuff coming like
Yeah.
next spring, and we know that Peter is going to come back to Earth and all that stuff. But I'm enjoying this. Like I wish it were just this for a while.
Yeah.
And which contradicts everything I've ever said. I've always been I just want Spider-Man street level fighting Kingpin and Doc Ock and whoever else. I don't want Spider-Man to be wrapped up in all this like he's the Sorcerer Supreme and all this. But we've never had a Spider-Man story like this before, and I'm really enjoying it. So I wouldn't mind if it lasted for a while.
See, the thing, you saying that is when you say, "Oh, I want a Spider-Man that swings around the cities doing Spider-Man things," it is what this is because what you're really wanting is Spider-Man acting like Spider-Man,
Right.
being a hero, doing
Yeah.
all that, and that's what this is. Whether he's in space or in New York or whatever,
Yeah.
this is Spider-Man who is stepping up for a friend
Mhm.
to do something. And is there's some quips and all of that, but there's also Spider-Man being a very capable hero,
Yeah.
very good in a fight.
Yeah, we talked about it before this. Like, I really like this because Spider-Man is being told you're going to fight this giant monster, and he's like, okay. Like, he doesn't act scared.
Mhm.
He acts like he knows exactly how he's going to handle it. And I feel like that's the Spider-Man that we've been missing for a really long time. Is the Spider-Man that just shows no fear, it feels confident in himself, rather than being scared that he's going to get the crap kicked out of him. He's like, yeah, I'll if it helps, sure, whatever. I'm gonna, and he even tells Rock like, I'm gonna go deal with this. I'll be right back. So he's very confident, and that's what I've been missing out of Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's wherever you put him, this is a Spider-Man who's had years of experience and does feel like he's had a lot of character growth. And this has a pretty surprising last page that may complicate Peter Parker's life even more than it already is. And for this story, I'm happy to see where it goes.
Yeah.
So a really good issue of Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm liking this side of the story.
Yeah, issue number 15. So there's your A cover, and I guess you could maybe call this a new character, but I don't want to get too much into the detail. But you'll have to read it to see. It's really cool. We've got some great variants. So this is the Adam Kubert variant. I maybe know why she's so featured on some of these covers now.
Yeah, we see a little bit of her in this issue.
Yep.
I don't remember her name.
I can't remember any of the characters' names other than Rocket.
Which is sad because I like them, so I need to study that.
We've got this Cameron Coley variant. This was part of the 250th homage variants.
Oh.
We've got this Inyuk Lee Streetverse variant. He just went and get some groceries, dressed as Spider-Man. We've got the Ross Andrew variant. That's the calendar variant. That's what they are. We've got a Lee Bermejo variant with Gwen.
What?
I mean, Mary Jane.
I was like, wait, are you trying to are you rage baiting? Are you wanting to get comments? Oh, I shouldn't have said anything, and we would have got so many comments.
We also have this Aaron Cooter variant. This is a 1 in 25. We're selling for $14.99. We've got the Amazing Spider-Man 1 in 50. This is the Inyuk Lee version of the Streetverse variant. We're selling for $49.99. And we've got a big one. This is a big one with Gwen on it. This is the 1 in 100 Lee Bermejo cover that we're selling for $79.99. See your blonde hair and headband and green jacket.
Yeah, everybody knows that scene when Gwen Stacy comes to the door and she's like, face it, cowboy, you just won the lotto.
Yeah,
that's a classic
Gwen
scene. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm going to talk about this super quick. This would have been in our Speed Force round, but Andy has some more books that he wants to talk about in detail. So I'm just going to run through this real quick. Spirits of Violence #2. In this one, Danny Ketch confronts his sister Barbara, who is now the spirit of violence. He's trying to figure out why she would do this and why she's doing what she's doing. And she gives him a reason, but it doesn't really jive well with him. And then Robbie Reyes and Phantasma, who is the Ghost Rider like on the skates, they enter all the shenanigans going on as well. And that's pretty much it. I'm not super into this series, but I just want to let you know that #2 is out. If you got the first one, we do have some variants, so check the website if you want to see those as well.
Well, I got to mention Absolute Green Lantern #8. This would have been higher on the list, but we had a lot of big stuff to talk about. And this isn't a super action-packed issue. This one's a little bit harder to talk about. This does say a new story starts here, and that's kind of true. This almost feels like a in-between story because this is actually the backstory of Joe Mullen for the Absolute Universe. So we see her as a child moving to Evergreen and growing up there. Her joining the police force and meeting new people. One of the people she meets there is a very familiar face to DC fans. That it plays a kind of a big role in Joe's life in here. But she gets complicated feelings for this person. I don't want to give it away because there's a couple of characters in here that I was really excited when you hear their names and you're familiar with the DC universe that are really fun to be like, oh, that's how they work them in here. But this person kind of complicates Joe's life, and uh, that's all, and the feelings that she has for them. And then we see Joe meet Cameron Chase, who we know she ends up with, that we've seen a couple of times through Absolute Green Lantern. And all of this leads up to the final page of the previous Absolute Green Lantern, where Joe shows up at Cameron Chase's house with a beaten up Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually where this next story takes off. But this does do a good job at filling you in on why Joe is maybe chosen to be the Green Lantern. So, fun issue of Green Lantern. Like I said, not action packed, but I do think this was some much needed character development for this version of the character. So, there is your A cover. We also have this Ken Lashley variant. It's really nice. We've got this, I believe this is, yep, this is the Dustin Nguyen cover. And is this, yep, this is the Mirka Andolfo cover.
All right, just real quick, I want to tell you about Avengers #32 because I feel like this has become a pretty epic story, and I feel like nobody's talking about it. Now, this would not be a good place to jump in, right? There's only 2 more issues after this. Two more issues before the Avengers hits like big number legacy number 800. And I think that's going to be Jed McKay's last issue. They announced, a big event coming next year, Armageddon. I feel like this could lead into that, but I don't think it will. I think that's more tied into the Ultimate stuff. But in this one, the Avengers are trying to stop Kang, who now has the power of the Grail, aka the missing moment. And it's made him like super powerful. It's that whoever wields the power of the Grail can create a brand new universe, but it requires the death of the previous universe in order to power it. And that's what he's trying to do, and the Avengers are trying to stop him. But first, they have to get through a horde of what are essentially Marvel zombies.
Oh.
And it's not just like regular zombies; it's like zombie versions of Daredevil and all their colleagues. So that's a big fight in this issue doing that. And then the Impossible City goes through a little bit of a change as well in this issue. So yeah, this feels like it's carrying a lot of weight. And I don't really hear people talk about it a lot, so I just wanted to put it out there that the new issue comes out this week. I only have the A cover here, but we do have some variants, so check the website if you want to see those.
What issue number is that?
32. Legacy number 798.
Okay. They need to do an omnibus of all of Jed McKay's Avengers.
Yeah.
That would be great. I also wanted to mention that Star Wars Legacy of Vader #10 is coming out. This is a fantastic issue. This sees Kylo enter into Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar, and where he, his whole thing is killing the past, He wants to do that, and he wants to understand how Vader was able to become the Dark Lord that he is. And in Vader's castle, he tries to get into Vader's vault, which he can't get into. Essentially, he goes in and it spits him right back out, and he's very frustrated. And so, to get clarity on all of this, he goes into Vader's meditation chamber, which is very similar to the one that we saw in Empire Strikes Back. Um, where Kylo begins to have some pretty significant visions of things, some ghosts from his past, some pretty horrifying versions of characters, and a pretty significant conversation with a character that is, is a pretty big deal. You'll have to read it to find out, but this was a fantastic issue and what is my favorite Star Wars comic currently coming out. So, Legacy of Vader issue number 10.
Sorry, hold on. I gotta make a note here. So real quick, I want to. I can't talk too much about this, but this came in. So this is Ice Cream Man, the Mortal Coil Shuffle. So basically, what this is an issue. This is a comic book. This is an issue of Ice Cream Man. However, it's told across. It's presented as 55 playing cards, and unfortunately, I can't show you any because this is still sealed. So we didn't want to open a pack, that we haven't sold yet. But yeah, there's different. I can't quite remember. It's a story to be read. It is not a game to be played. To correctly experience the story, read the cards in order, starting with card 1 and ending with card 55. The cards come packaged in sequence and are also numbered for your convenience. It says, do not shuffle the cards. Doing so is tantamount to ripping the pages from a book and then taping them back together all jumbled and out of whack. But if I remember the solicitation correctly, it said something about there's cards that tell you to jump to other cards. And so, yeah, this is the most creative thing I think I've ever seen. And of course, Ice Cream Man is the one to do it. So, I mean, it's a regular, it looks like a deck of playing cards. There's 55 of them, and this gives you an actual story. So, it's not a game, it's a comic book, but told as cards. So, I just wanted to show you that they came in this week. We have a few. These are available on the website as well. So, yeah, really cool.
Yep. While supplies last, there's a limited number. And lastly, I wanted to show, which I did not get a chance to read this. This is Echo Secret Truth number 1. This is one of the Marvel Voices titles. This time looking at Echo. This is by Taboo and B. Earls with Jim Terry on art. And yeah, if you're a big fan of Echo, check this out. But I did not get a chance to read it. But it looks really nice with this David Mack cover. And we also have, I've got to show this one. This is the Maria Wolf variant for that as well. So very, very fun game. That's all you had?
That's all I got.
That's all I got. So this was a really cool week of books with some pretty big titles. Definitely ones you do not want to miss out on or new number ones to try out. So head on over to infinityflux.net right now where you can place your orders for these while supplies last. When these release on Wednesday, they'll either be shipped to you or you can pick them up in store. Either way is awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let us know what you're most excited to read this week. We love checking out the comments each week. We try to respond to as many of them as we can. Some of them dictate our letters page specials that we do, our live shows,
which we have another one coming this week.
Yep, on Wednesday.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that as well. And I think that's it.
Share the video too. If there's
Is
anybody,
that a thing people do?
Yeah, you can share a video. If somebody who needs to know information about the books coming out this week, send them the link.
That is true. You can share. I just shared a scene from Spinal Tap with one of my friends.
Nice.
So do that as well and share the scene of Spinal Tap because that's a great movie. Until next time. See ya.